Hi everyone, thanks for tuning into the JB Arts YouTube channel. As we're approaching 70 videos, I thought that I would do a little intro. My name is Jeff. I teach children's art classes, children, youth, and adult art classes. I teach about 2,000 students a year, sort of pre-pandemic. As we're just ramping back into summer camp, things are starting to open up again. Going back to teaching in schools in September will be fantastic, and teaching classes in the store will be just great to get back into those sort of things. We have a small art store in the front where we sell art supplies. We sell sort of the most popular items. When you have such a small store like me and you can't carry a whole lot of inventory, we try and make sure that we've got sort of the best bang for your buck, best quality sort of materials. And even if that's for inexpensive juvenile starter type stuff to carrying a range of artist supplies, we have all of our inventory online for you to check out. jbarts.ca. You can go to the shop local section and find our entire catalog online. We're adding to it sort of weekly, getting new things in, and everything that we use here in the store is something that we also teach in the class. I'm definitely open to requests, so if there's some type of project or art skill you want to learn and you want me to give you a quick tutorial on it to get you started, just let me know. Send me a message, like us, share some Facebook, and message me that way. Instagram as well. We're sort of there on those three major platforms. If you have any questions at all, comments or anything like that, just reach out. We're pretty happy to do what we can to give you what you want. So again, if you like what you see here, please don't forget to like, subscribe, share. Today our program is plaster clocks. Okay, so using plaster gauze bandages, tinfoil and sort of cardboard as our armature. This is a working clock mechanism. All right, so let's get into the video. Thanks for watching. Have yourself a fantastic day. So I've made two clocks for this particular activity. The first one is going to be sort of the supplies that are somewhat in the kit, and then the second one's going to be a little bit more advanced. Now I'm using tin foil to get sort of the cloud shape here at the bottom. It's going to be a beautiful rainbow with a sun and some poofy clouds. We're going to use the plaster gauze bandages to sort of activate them, to make them malleable. We dip them in water, we wipe them off the side of the container, and then we rub the surface so the little dotted texture of the plaster gauze when it's applied to a surface sort of smooths out. This will make a much stronger sculpture. The tinfoil acts as a really good armature or support. If you use paper balls and things like that, they can sometimes get mushy, or if you put on lots of gauze to get sort of the shape you want, they can kind of weigh down and sort of compress. So you really want to make sure that like the tinfoil holds up its shape quite well. Now when we're making our sculpture part, we want to be very mindful not to add a lot of sculpture to where the clock mechanism is going to spin, or else your hands on the clock will start to hit things as you work around your sculpture, stopping the clock. So that's why we're supposed to work off the edge of the circle a bit more, working around the perimeter of the circle. This is also why there's sort of the box for the mechanism behind, to keep it elevated a bit, so you've got lots of extra room to work on the outside. We're just using acrylic paint. That should seal it in quite nicely. Keep in mind, if you want something white, paint it white. Don't just leave it the plaster gauze color. Make sure you sort of paint everywhere if you can. So I can paint my sculpture even when it's a little bit damp. Matter of fact, I find it works quite well if the plaster is just a touch wet when you start to paint. As long as you're not pressing down and sort of ruining your sculpture or applying cracks to your plaster gauze, go ahead and paint it while it's still damp. I find the paint soaks into the plaster and creates a much better seal if it's a little bit damp. All right, moving on to the second one. Now, this guy here is going to be a flag, and I wanted to kind of get the cardboard to ripple as if it's like rippling in the wind. So here I'm cutting the cardboard along with the corrugation so the cardboard can bend and sort of curl. I'm not cutting all the way through, or trying not to cut through. And then I cut through on the back side as well to get the fold going in the opposite direction. And this is to try and give me the rippling flag effect. There we go. So overall that's its basic shape. I'm going to trim and cut a little bit more in the future. Now you can see where we dip the gauze into the water, we set it onto the surface, we smooth it out to try and get rid of all of that sort of bumpy or fabric type texture to get it nice and smooth. That'll create a nice strong bond between each layer of gauze, as well as bonding it to the tinfoil or the cardboard. In this case here, I'm covering everywhere to make sure that the cardboard is completely covered to make it nice and strong. As soon as it dries, it's rock hard. I am going to make sort of a little pole that goes along with it to sort of give the extra illusion that it's a flag on a flagpole. Here's where you can see where I'm trimming the extra stuff. Make sure you keep your fingers out of the way. You can use some really sharp scissors if you've got them. Here I'm just drawing right on it, so you can draw directly on the plaster. At this point, I don't even think it's that dry. I'm just trying to finish it off. Overall, both of these didn't take a whole lot of time. We're talking about 45 minutes per piece, start to finish. Mixing up my colors. Sometimes when you're applying the paint, you really have to scrub it in to every little texture. You need to apply the paint a bit thicker and sort of push it around to get it kind of everywhere and nice and smooth. I would recommend some sort of sealer perhaps when you're done, just to make it look a little bit more finished, to have it protected a bit more. Sometimes hanging things on the wall or on a shelf can get quite dusty. So giving it a bit of a sealer should help. But again, it's not something that you need to do. My plan is to hang this guy in the store. Show my love for color and love for everybody. So that was kind of the plan behind this one. That stripe in the middle is actually a purple. It just turned out to be really dark the way that my camera picked it up. Seeing it in person, it actually looks quite purple. All right, so I've put in the hole. I just took the end of the scissors, sort of stuck it through. Now, putting on the nut there was a little bit difficult because of the thickness of the cardboard with the gauze. I had to really sort of get that nut on there tight so it would pull together. It didn't give me much in the way of threads left to sort of put that on. Now I'm just using a bit of glue gun to adhere the string so it doesn't sort of move around. I kind of wanted the flag to sort of look like it's floating independently of the wood dowel. So that's why I'm trying to put a bit of glue gun on the rope that I've got there. And also I put glue gun on the strings itself, so that way when they dried they'd be more stiff or stronger, and that way they would hold up the flag. And they actually do when they're finished. So if you're using your glue gun, be very careful. The metal part is extremely hot. A high setting or a low setting. If you don't have a setting, be very careful. The hot setting can actually do some serious burns to you. Low heat guns are pretty safe. I had other ideas of doing like a turtle shell. Some of my other ideas include doing a moon or planets sort of going around the clock. Also a basketball. I thought anything sort of round would be really good for this sort of activity. Mostly because of the clock. Now when you're putting on the numbers, I like to start at 12 and then the 3, the 6, the 9, and then the space between those two, I can easily put two numbers, roughly equally spaced. And yeah, I thought they turned out great on both clocks in this circumstance. So I drew on the numbers and then sort of painted them in. You always paint a little bit larger than whatever you write, so keep that in mind to keep everything sort of spaced out a little bit. And there we go. There's my flapping clock with numbers. I do end up painting the dowel with sort of like a metallic finish. And again, the extra paint in with the twine or the rope will help to make it more rigid, so it actually sort of holds the flag steady. So remember, folks, art can bring anybody together. Anyone can do art. Every human has some fashion of creativity, and art is a good way to draw that out. It doesn't matter if it's decorating cakes, if it is painting cars, if it's ballet. The creative artist experience, make sure you enjoy every minute of it. Doesn't matter if it's good or bad. It matters that you have fun and that you enjoy what you're doing. And the more you do it, the better you get. Then hopefully you'll enjoy it even more. And then you'll show it to other people. And that's how art can sort of pull everybody together. This is how we put the hands on the mechanisms. Now your clock mechanism is already sort of attached and harnessed and sort of ready to go. From that, you can do something that I've done here. So mine is sort of a drilled hole into cardboard and put this on. It was a bit of a tight squeeze. The shoulder here where you put the bolt onto or the nut onto doesn't actually have a lot of space. I really had to sort of cram that one on there. To put on your hands, and that's where I want to focus in on a little bit more, is we want to take this part and slide it, the collar, on top of the white plastic piece, and then you press firmly on it, and it should just sort of click into place. Now, if you have a raised surface at all here, your hands might get caught as it sort of spins around. You can actually sort of bend this up a little bit and then flatten it back out a bit. Now, if you do this to one hand, you have to do this to them all. They all have to be slightly higher so they don't end up interfering with each other. So I'll show you what I mean. This is the next one, and as it slides on, it's going to hit this hand because I tweaked it a little bit so it doesn't hit the sculpture. In this case here, I'm going to start by folding this up a little bit and then just bending it back. Now, it doesn't have to be much higher. This hand already sits a bit higher than the other hand. We just need to make sure that it's equally higher, and that way it doesn't interfere with the hands. And again, if you've done this to one hand, more than likely you're going to have to do it to the rest. So that just firmly gets placed onto the center spindle, and then we've got the second hand. So this is just a little tiny one. Some people don't even put this one on. I like to put it on, especially because it's a different color. Nice sort of gold accent. And again, we have to tweak it up and then fold it forward a little bit, and then the hands will spin freely. Now you can just take the second hand and spin it, and the mechanism will turn the other hands. See? Oh, so here it hit on the back part. So I actually have to tweak this little pointy bit on the minute hand. There we go. It spins without interference. We're good to go. Put in a battery, and you should be able to tell time with your new clock. Great. Thanks for watching. Have yourself a great day. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, share, all those fun things. We'll see you on the next one.